Okay, this is the test setup that you will be using for your lab. It is a probe station, a way for you to interact with MEMS. They're very small, you're too big, you can't actually get in there and probe things by hand. So what we have is a microscope that will control or allow you to see what you're working on. And then we have these probes that are here to allow you to do that interaction. So each one of them essentially is a small optical stage. You move these calipers, which will allow you to move the tiny little needle that's down there. It is, in fact, an acupuncture needle that's been bent. And so it moves that stainless steel around so that you can interact with things. So for this one, we will be assembling something called a sang suspension. It is a one-push assembly mechanism. So to get these things set on, you hit the power button on the microscope. If it's not already on for you, you will see that the light is on and the lens cap has already been removed. So you will make sure that the probes are at their highest height. This one here is the one that gives you your Z direction. So you want that to be up nice and high so that you can slide your chip underneath there. You will see it. This is an older one that is a little bit dirty looking, but there we go. You will insert that underneath there. Again, with those probe tips up nice and high so they don't get rammed, and then you can bring the tip down. So as I rotate that down, you see that tip coming down, and as it gets closer, I should see it on the screen. Okay, so you see that shadow that is appearing on the screen there. Well, these two knobs down here are what move the stage back and forth. Which allows you to move it underneath the camera. So the camera itself doesn't move, but you can move the substrate underneath it. So this here are those two shadows. That is that probe coming down. So as that probe continues to come down, you'll see those two shadows merge. One is the shadow, one is the reflection, or one is the probe tip, and the other is the shadow of the probe tip. When the two things merge, I'm basically touching. And as I touch, you see it become sharp, and then you see it slightly move forward. Okay, so that probe tip is coming down at an angle, it's hitting, and as you push down, it's sliding forward a little bit. So that allows you to know that you are in contact. So I will bring that back up ever so slightly so that I'm not totally dragging on the surface. Okay, so I'm going to move my substrate over. You, of course, have read your lab, and essentially this lab is just getting you used to using the system, and you will be assembling these sang suspensions. Okay, so I've come over so that I'm near one of those sangs. I will drop my probe tip down, and there's two ways I can do this. I can either move the probe tip around, poke it into there, and assemble that. So I can either do it that way, and that one's not the most beautifully done, or I could move the substrate underneath my probe tip and assemble it by moving the substrate instead of moving the probe tip itself. And there I have crazily overdone it. Okay, so I've assembled 3 of these here. This first one is quite nice. I could take the focus knobs for my microscope, bring that focus up, and that will show you things in the Z direction. You can see that that plate is nicely straight up and down because I can barely see any of it. This one is clearly at a crazy angle, and that one at some sort of medium angle. This one, of course, is a perfect assembly, and these other two, well, we can either go with that as an okay assembly, and that one's definitely we would call a parametric failure. Okay, so I didn't break it, but neither is it functioning as it should. Okay, so that would be a parametric failure. And then a catastrophic failure would be had I actually broken the structure. I want you to break some, just so you get an idea of how strong the SU8 is. And you are working your way through that lab manual. Everyone in the group is doing a bunch of these, assembling a bunch of these. You're calculating up some statistics on how well you can do so. And I'm wanting you to get used to using this system and interacting with things, because as soon as you start sticking your own stuff under there, you do not want to break them. Okay, so this lab is essentially getting you used to using the system so that as you go to actually do your own, you will be able to do so. There are on the screen is the ability to record, take pictures, which you will do to take pictures of various structures as you approach that. So there's the sort of very quick intro to your lab. If you follow the lab, make sure you read everything that is bolded. Well, read it all, but make sure that you're giving me answers in your lab write-up of what is bolded, because that is what I particularly care about. Okay, there's your quick intro to the lab.